so fast to the piano. So, okay? Yeah, can we do the okay, chorus? Ensemble of chamber singers. Yeah. Please, not chorus. Let's be ready for that. Yeah. Godian, that's the first song.
Viviane dolci fremiti che suscitano amore, poiché la cuore onnipotente va. Viviamo amore ai corici più cari non ci avrà.
Music is the voice that speaks for a culture, more so than almost anything else, because it doesn't depend on any other medium other than performance. You have a painting, you look at it, but if somebody takes the painting away, you can't really look at it. Music isn't quite like that. As long as there is somebody who can read it and make the sounds, it comes alive again. And once a painting is finished, it's finished. And we look at it, and it's fabulous. You know, you can spend hours looking at a great painting. Music, you can't do that with music. You can only listen to it again and again, because music has one thing that almost no other art form except maybe film and theater have. It exists in time. And you can't really read a piece of music unless you're a really good professional musician, the way you can read a play. Even a play you can read outside of the theatrical experience, but you can't experience music outside of the performance. It depends on the performance. So it can't exist, music doesn't exist in a vacuum. So it's alive in a way that perhaps other art forms don't have that same feeling. Well, dance is like that as well. These things that depend on time and movement. And those are the things, I think, that speak much more directly to people of another country than even a painting or a piece of sculpture or a piece of film, because there's a context there that music doesn't need, really. It exists in its own kind of world. And that's priceless, because there's nothing quite like it. Like I said, except for things that like dance, you know, you can't, if you don't have dancers doing a dance, there's no ballet. And it's just, music is like that. And it's extraordinary because it's really a living thing, and it reflects living people who are involved in it. Once the painting is done, and you know, the painting stays, the artist is gone, but there's no rebirth of it. There's only appreciation of something that is, in a sense, complete. In music, it's always changing, depending on the people, depending on the performers, depending on where you're doing it. I mean, it never stops growing and changing. So I think that's, for me, that's something that makes music key to the cultural identity of whatever country you come from. It always makes me feel good that, you know, when they sent that satellite into space, in case some other alien race finds it, they put this and that, and they put some Bach into the satellite. And I said, yeah, exactly. Because you maybe can't appreciate the Mona Lisa, but if you understand technology, if you can be in space, you have to understand mathematics, and therefore you will understand Bach. And I think that's the greatest tribute to music that you can really think of, the fact that it's out there in space waiting for some little green man to find it and think, oh wow, these people have something really good, let's go there and find more. So I love that idea, and because I'm a crazy person who loves Star Trek and things like that, it makes me feel good to think that Bach is in space.
Cosa per buon verso. So I think, Stefan, cosa per buon verso, really cosa per buon verso. Let's just do the very first entrance of così, and then we do Lipiamo.
With my introduction?
No, just give us the chords. Okay, so. in nice Gala time, we're going to start fourth.
Okay.
I tend to be really attracted most to the music where the voice is a really major component. And so that tends to be Italian and some French composers, and Mozart, of course. I adore Mozart. I never get tired of doing Mozart. And I think those are the things that appeal to me, because my background is so vocal and so involved with singers and coaching and teaching my entire life professionally, that I think that really pulls me in. And so my desire to make the voice be really comfortable and happy and singing beautifully, that tends to be the music that I think I'm at my best with. So. I think what's happening here is really important and has the potential to be extremely important. This kind of learning situation is never something you can make money from. Never. You just can't. Because the cost, the real cost involved, cannot be paid by the people who are here learning. And it's so important because Romania is really a Mediterranean country in a way, with a Mediterranean language. And that's where the best voices come. And there's a long musical tradition here. And the voices that are here are extraordinary. And that's a treasure that's sitting around that has to be mined and refined and developed. And so I think what this is trying to do is to give an opportunity for these singers who cannot come to New York, to Amsterdam, to Paris, to London and study, and try to bring some of that here so that perhaps they can go out and become famous and a credit to their country. And then the idea of bringing singers from other countries to mix with them so that they learn from each other. And it's so important because music is really the universal language. You don't need words to speak it. And when you can come together with music, what can be better? I mean, really, what can be better? If Orpheus could tame the savage beasts, music can actually perhaps do its bit for understanding between countries, better understanding between countries. And frankly, we could all use a little better understanding between countries today. It's not very political, but it's much, much more effective in many, many ways. And so I think the fact that Elite Art has really committed to doing this and presenting this thing, this program, is extraordinary because they don't get anything out of it, really. They're not taking the coachings or singing in the concert. They're not really benefiting directly except for the fact that someone thinks this is important to do, and it's vitally important to do. Because to get these voices ready to go out onto international stages, there is nothing more important for these singers, nothing at all. And for that they need information, they need training, and they need a little bit of time. And the time we have is so small, so small. I just came from another program that's a month. And it's very intense, and it has a lot more singers. But in a way, the fact that this is small, we have gotten so much done in such a short time. That's fabulous. But it would be nice if we'd had a little more time, because some people came a little late, and so they didn't get quite as much. So it's a work in progress, and we're gonna each year, I think. I wasn't here last year, but Liora was, and she said this year was, in a way, so much better because things were better planned, better organized, and it's a learning process also for the organizers, as well as for people. You know, okay, next time if we do this, we'll think of this ahead of time. So it's really a process, but really the goal of this is to give singers an opportunity to really refine things in a relatively short time with a lot of work. You know, from people who do this for a living and have been doing this for God knows how many years. So that's a great thing. And what they have been able to learn, the changes some of these singers have made in just 8 days of lessons is astonishing. Astonishing, I mean, really. And I can't think, I would love to see this grow a little bit more, because it's fabulous. I haven't been able to get out very much, except our very little insular group, unfortunately. I wish I could say we had time to I hope I can come back and have time to actually see the country more. I've seen pictures. I have a close friend who is Romanian, and she was a great singer, Virginia Zeani. And I knew her when I was in school, and we still stay in touch. And I told her I'm on my way to Romania, and she says, "Oh, you will love the Romanian voices. They will get so much out of your knowledge and experience." And so I was already predisposed to it, because Virginia is Romanian, and you know, we have other great Romanian singers, Cotrubaș and Gheorghiu and blah, blah, blah. You know, there really are. Dinu Lipati, who's one of my favorite pianists, is Romanian. This is a great tradition here in Romania for the arts. And it's so easy in a transitional time, which it seems that the country is really kind of just learning its way in many areas, that the arts are easy to forget because so many other problems seem so much more important. And okay, in a way, in the immediate time, they are more important. It's more important to get a decent healthcare system, and to make sure that the streets are clean, and that the budget is in good shape, and that you have enough to whatever. All these things are vastly more indispensable in the short term. But in the long term, it's culture, it's the arts. That's what determines the identity of a country. I mean, when you go to Austria, you see Mozart Kugeln everywhere, okay? Even outside of Austria, Mozart Kugeln is an industry. Why? Because of Mozart. Because Mozart is a universal, important element. And so you buy these little chocolate candies because they have Mozart's name on it, and it's fantastic, and you think, oh, how cool. But just think of the impact that Mozart has had, to the point where there's a kind of an industry based on his presence in the world. That's huge. You know, you don't do that so much with other people. And so in Italy, of course, you know, they have art coming out of their ears, and they have no money to clean everything up. I mean, it's a problem. And boy, have they had artists, not just musicians, but painters and sculptors and inventors and whatever. So it's so easy to get bogged down, to get stuck in the immediate necessities of life. But I don't think you can ever afford to forget that once that necessity, once you feed the body, you better be feeding that soul. Because otherwise, the culture dies. There's nothing that will keep it going. And it's so important to, even when you're dealing with the things of daily life that are short-term importance, to remember to invest a little bit for the long term. Because in the long run, that has more impact on how people view a place than whether the streets are cleaned on time. If you stay at the same level, you die. It's everything, every time you do a piece. Sometimes I've coached a piece 120 times. And one time someone has a particular problem and I'm trying to figure out the best solution. And I think, oh my God, why did I not know this before? And that's the thing about great music, is that you never can know it well enough. And no matter how many times you do it, you always find something new. And every time somebody brings in an aria to work on, or every time I conduct an opera, and I go through from the beginning. And because of everything that's gone on before, because also knowledge is a combination of awareness in the moment and the cumulative effect of your past experience. So the more you have experience with, the more possibility you have to find those extra special details. And that's kind of the wonderful thing about being a musician, is you never stop learning, even if it's the same stuff you've been doing for 20 years. It's always new, because you always see new things, because I'm smarter musically than I was 2 years ago, certainly than I was 20 years ago. You grow, and as you grow, your vision and understanding of things expands.